Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm joined by Sean Connolly, all the way from Australia. It's half-time, it's Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. And Sean, that's exactly the type of performance we were hoping for.
Yeah, it's clinical. I think we've actually been really good defensively. There's been a little bit of trouble with getting a bit of a click and flow going forwards. The forward press has not been clicking well at all, to be honest. But defensively, we've been really solid, and we've been playing really well in patches. I think from the outset, Aberdeen have came to play physical. And the referees kind of let them do that, and we've responded to that in a positive way, both by standing up to it, resisting it, and also showing our own edge. Alistair Johnston has shown some really good physicality. Scales has shown some good, even Baye has shown some good physicality. Trust the back fours and all in particular. It has disrupted our flow at times, particularly before we had the goal in the first 20 minutes. But we have shown that we've shown our quality. We've shown our better team, even if we're not flowing like we have done at times this season.
Yeah, you talk about the physical aspect of that. I think within 1 minute we've seen a late challenge by Shinnie on Baye. It almost set the tone, Sean. But what I liked about it was it wasn't as though Celtics, stepped back and allowed Aberdeen to come to Celtic Park and bully us, because the best example for me is Johnston. Johnston always steps up. If there's going to be any kind of physicality, he steps up. He lets them know they're in a game, and he's done that a few times. I think more often than not, he does it in such a way where it's hard but fair, though, to be honest, Sean.
Yeah, I actually thought, personally, the one he puts on McKenzie should have been a free kick. But to be fair, I thought the one that you're talking about, Shinnie, should have been a yellow card. So
Yeah.
I think that's just the standard that the referee set today, and that's what happens game to game. A referee will set a standard where he wants that he sets it early, and that's the way you have to play. And I think 2 yellow cards probably flatters Aberdeen. 2 goals probably flatters Aberdeen. I think 0 goals probably flatters Aberdeen. They could probably be on -1 for all they've offered going forward at the moment as well. So 2-0, a comfortable 2-0. We have been well on top, even if it hasn't been the most beautiful game. We have definitely been the better team, and we have showed nous experience and a lot of things other than just technical football that we need for these high level, top of the table games.
I think nous is the big thing. It's one of the ones where they're coming to Celtic Park. How often has a team come to our home ground and tried to bully us? They did that, and they did it in a physical way. I think we just stepped up to it and thought, right, not only do we have the physicality, but we've got the technique. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've noticed before we get to the individual goals. We have a kind of diamond developing on the right-hand side between Johnston, Kuhn and Engels, and they're linking up brilliantly, and they're creating some great chances down that right-hand side. I want to start off with Engels, because in the last few weeks he's come in for a wee bit of criticism. Massive buy, 11 rising to 13 million quid. Came into the game, I think, against Hearts, and he showed some real mettle to take that penalty kick, and everybody was buzzing about him. Then a couple of kind of lacklustre displays, perhaps, but in that first half, I think Engels has been excellent.
Yeah, he's been trying to make things happen. He's been my first note of the game was in the first 30 seconds when he just makes an absolute effort run in the first 30 seconds, showing that he's well up for it today. Something that Hati didn't actually do in the first 20 minutes. But to comment, I don't know if you want me to move on to Hati. I did. Anyone who was listening post-match, I did bag him. I said that he would not get a goal or an assist, and here we are. He's scored an absolute cracking goal, and I'm eating humble pie. I actually do think the first 20 minutes he was strolling, and I think a lot of that was down to the fact that when he put a forward press on, he was not being supported by Kyogo, Kuhn, Maeda, so I don't really want to hang him out for that one. But once he does get that goal, he starts to get on the ball a lot more, and he initiates contact a lot more, and he was much more in his element after he scored that goal. Fantastic finish, and he was much better thereafter. The battle he's having with Nielsen's very good. Nielsen should be on a yellow card after one of the 2 deliberate fouls he's committed. But Hatate's performance in the last 25 minutes of the half was very good.
Yeah, and again, we spoke about the fact that I think we both agree Hati is the best. He's the best midfielder we've got, but he's not the most consistent midfielder we've got. And that's why when you come into these games, you look at guys like Bernardo, and even McCowan was being mentioned, Sean, about getting a start. Rodgers has got it right. He's got it right because Hati has stepped up. There's a bit of physicality there, like you say. I think Nielsen, he was pretty lucky in that first half. But 15 minutes into the game, I was also looking at the performance of Kyogo. Not so much his fault, but he was struggling to get into the game. There was one occasion in the first half, and Scales, who I'm not criticising, I think Scales has been excellent, failed to pick out a pass, and that seems to be the tail of Kyogo's season. Sometimes he's making the runs, we're not picking out the pass, but he did get on the score sheet, and that's why he's there. Going into games like today, I'm pretty sure some people would have played either. I think you always play Kyogo. No matter how anonymous he appears, he'll pop up and score a goal.
Yeah, you could use the old cliche horses for courses, but it really it's not even that. It's just you're just getting a different threat from the two of them. There was a sequence where Maeda's on the ball at one point and Kyogo never comes onside at any time. And it's like, well, you're effectively out of the game there. And then there's 1 minute later, Engels puts a ball across the 4-yard box that goes all the way out practically for a throw-in, and Kyogo's not there. And then 2 minutes later, he's on the end of a through ball from Engels that leads to the opening goal. So I guess that's the kind of mixed bag you're getting. We would like to see, more consistency, but I guess that's why Kyogo's here, not Man City. We're getting the 1 and 3 from him, and we'll take it. It's led to the opening goal today. Kyogo is a quality player, and he's contributed well so far today. And in terms of tangible results.
Exactly. And I think that, he's one of the guys that just comes alive. If there's a chance that, he comes alive regardless of how involved he's been in the game. Let's get your thoughts on that first half display. Obviously, Celtic winning 2-0. First goal coming from Rio Hati, followed up by Kyogo. The Japanese connection. These guys came in. There were 6 in total. Japanese players came in under Ange. Am I right in saying 6? Because we had Ideguchi, and also Kobayashi, and we've recently lost Awata. So, 6 players came in, and we're now looking at that identity of that Ange Postecoglou team changing and shifting to Brendan's own team, and you still look at guys like Maeda, Hatate, and Kyogo as being pivotal. I don't think, though, that Maeda's been in the game as much as I would have liked down the left. It often happens like that, though, Sean. We seem to be all down the right today, don't we?
Well, the second goal came from the left, to be fair, because I was actually thinking the same thing. Like, why are we not just overloading on the right here? Because that's really, we do look great with that Engels, AJ, and Kuhn combination. And then, sure enough, the second goal does come from Maeda, despite the fact that he's not been heavily involved in an attacking sense today. I think Baye has been quite heavily involved defensively, not so heavily involved offensively, but you need to, I guess you do need to have the balance. You need to have the threats from both sides, or players will just shift over and just block the side that you want to attack down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got some good points coming through here, and I'm going to bring them up. Claff's 1978. We all watch the game differently, which is always a good reason to bring the comments in. Aberdeen came out heavy-handed like Ibrox hammer throwers. FC, it was nice to see our players step up to physical challenge and give it back. Absolutely agree with that. Hail to you down in Corby as well. Pigeon M on the YouTube. We are in control of the game, but this is the interesting thing that I think you've always got to consider. A goal for them next could change things, and they did have a chance. They had a chance near the end of the first half, Sean, and I thought Baye was brilliant. It was just that, he runs in behind Schmeichel, and of course, it was that Clarkson could have put a wee bit more weight behind his shot, but I thought Baye has had a good first half under a lot of the physical challenges as well.
Yeah, that was the only real chance Aberdeen had, apart from a speculative free kick. And I actually would criticise Alistair Johnson for it in a sense, because as a player myself, my personal opinion is as soon as you go in for a slide tackle, you've removed yourself from all further action for the next 5 to 10 seconds of the game. So what Johnson's done there is he's gone in for a slide tackle, removed himself, and the ball is broken to an Aberdeen player. And Baye is the one that's just kept moving, kept being interested, and he's not done anything miraculous, but just from pure effort and awareness, he's stopped Aberdeen from the making the opportunity and taking the opportunity from that Johnston mistake. And the flip side, you could look at that as their second goal. I think was it Malloy, I think. When the cross comes in from Maeda, Malloy just lays it on a plate for Hati, and
Yeah.
I think he's played 8 games. I think this is his 8th game for Aberdeen. If you think back to 2 years ago, if that's Scales in his 8th game for Celtic and he does that, he probably never wears a Celtic shirt again. So that's kind of the difference in standards, isn't it, between the teams? That sort of defending in a Celtic shirt can get you seen out of town and never playing again. And that's the levels, I think.
He laid it on a plate, didn't he? Aye, he laid it on
That's,
a plate. I think, again, Scales is getting a lot of credit in the comments, and I agree with that. You know, he does seem to have stepped it up this season, Sean. Now, we've gone on about this journey. It's one of the things that they'll talk about for a long, long time. Obviously, looking back on the last few seasons, the way that Scales came through when most people thought he was out the door. But I think he's actually taken it to another level this season. And I don't know if it's because that rock, that CCV, who's your first choice best defender on paper, hasn't been there. So Scales has had to step up, hasn't he?
yeah. And look, I'm already eating my words once today for saying that Hati wouldn't get a goal or assist. So what I would say, if I'm setting myself up for a second humbling, I would say Aberdeen looked like they could play for 3 whole matches and not score a goal. The way that this first half has went. Scales, Trusty, the whole back four has looked very solid, very up for it today. They look like, even though they've lost their clean sheet record, they still look like they want another clean sheet. They look like they're taking pride in this and they really want it. Scales, I think, has looked the best of the bunch, but they've all looked good. Scales has just looked the most composed, and he's been, not only has he been doing well sweeping, he's also been getting in ahead as well. When the ball's coming to those strikers, he's been getting in ahead. He's even committing fouls when he needs to commit fouls. Like, I think there's one where it's somewhere between the halfway line and the Aberdeen box, and he knows that he's not going to win it, but he just commits a soft foul just to break up play. And that was absolutely the right thing to do in that occasion. So I think he's been excellent today, and the whole back four.
At some point, I will need to go back to kind of early episodes of Liam Scales' time at Celtic, because I was one of the guys that had real doubts about the level he was coming from when he came over from Ireland. And there was a lot of listeners coming in, Sean, saying that, you know, I was maybe underestimating that and that he could become a regular within the Celtic team. Didn't look as though it was going to happen. I always think back, strangely, to remember the Bodo Glimt game. And I don't know if that was at that point that Ange lost a bit of confidence in him, because he didn't play a great deal after that under Postecoglou. And then he was thrown in because we're a defensive crisis, and he has taken his opportunity in a massive, massive way. What I would suggest, though, right, is, and I don't know if it's just maybe the inclusion of Schmeichel, or maybe the fact that we have got into the groove of how to play out from the back. But I remember that this was one of the big focus points when Ange Postecoglou came into Celtic 3 years ago, about, you know, not just putting your laces through it, always playing out at the back. That included the goalie playing right high up the pitch. And many, many times, particularly in the first season, we saw us giving the ball away. Hart was exposed quite a lot of the times. In that first half year, you've seen a team who have been playing that way now for almost 3.5 seasons, and they're so comfortable doing it now. There was a few moments where we were like pinned right back into our own 6-yard box, Sean, and we passed the ball out. You know, I think back to the games under Ange in the first season, under Postecoglou, and it was almost like we're just going left to right. You know, the two centre-halves were getting more of the ball than anybody else, but it was going to the wing. Now it's much quicker and more dynamic, and we're turning the defence into attack, and it looks as though we're doing it comfortably and at ease now. But that's probably because we've been playing that style for the best part of 3.5 seasons.
I absolutely noticed that as well, Paul. First, I actually noticed like 6 minutes into the game, there's one point where Nicky Devlin for Aberdeen nutmegs Maeda coming out of his own backline. And I'm like, okay, that's the confidence Aberdeen are bringing to this game. And then that really turned a little bit as we went on. And what you're talking about was very evident. And I think there was 2 occasions where we played 1-2s in the air coming out of our own penalty box. And it was like, yeah, that's what we want. That's the confidence we want. That's the quality we want. That's surely Aberdeen heads go down at that point when they trigger a forward press and we play a 1-2 in the air to come out comfortably into space. I was very impressed with that particular aspect, and I think that was just one of the things that signaled that we are the better team, and that really hurt Aberdeen as much as the goals.
Yeah, and it's a massive statement today, you know. I've heard all the chat in relation to title challenges. I of course, have been talking about second place, but Aberdeen, I think, deserve the credit they've had up to this point. Celtic go out there, and if we win comfortably today, I think it sends out a big marker. So let's go and join the action in the second half, Sean. We will be back at full time. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. Keep your comments coming in, and we'll join you at full time on A Celtic State of Mind.
Yeah, well.